Hello everyone, I have a layout for you today using my How to Kill a Kit style for November. If you would like to check out how everyone is doing with their kits, you will find below a link of everyone that's participating in November. If you've been keeping track, this is layout number 3 of 4 that I want to complete. Yes, it's November 28th, but we're going to squeeze one more in. Hopefully tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. Okay, so let's get started on what my plans are for this layout. I really want to use this sunflower stamp and my colored cardstock. I also pulled this sketch from Pinterest. It's from Creative Scrappers. I really wanted to get these layouts done and up for you, so I didn't, I went with sketches because sketches are always the way to get good layouts done quickly. I am not going to follow the layout completely. It is definitely I'm definitely going to take my own spin on it. For starters, I'm using 3 photos, but it'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and do some heat embossing now. If you watched my video at the beginning of November, there were a couple of things I really wanted to play with that were in this kit. One of them being this sunflower stamp from Stampin' Up! And some embossing, some heat embossing. So that's what we're going to do today on this particular layout. So first, I'm going to use my anti-stick powder tool, and I'm going to powder up my cardstock. I'm then going to go ahead and cover my stamped sunflower with some of the embossing powders that I added to my kit. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit it with my heat tool till all of the embossing is smooth and melted. I think I did pretty good during the month of November of incorporating cardstock in just about all of my projects and videos. So I'm super excited to have gone ahead and completed that goal. So most of the videos for this month feature colored cardstock in some aspects. For December, look how beautiful that is. So I'm going to continue on here. I'm going to make loads of different sunflowers and all kinds of different embossing powder colors. And I did this so that I had a wide range that I could use for my layout today. Again, cardstock, my anti-static powder tool. I use embossing ink from Brutus Monroe. That is my favorite. That's also where I get my detail black ink from as well. As I was embossing these sunflowers, I very quickly decided that these were my favorite. This was my favorite combination. The cardstock with the gold Altenew embossing powder. So I will leave a link down below to that Altenew embossing powder because I did like the dark ones, but those flowers were the ones that I ended up using all of. That black one or the dark one, I ended up, I saved it, but I didn't use it on my layout today. I like how these sunflowers turned out too, but these were, this was a very light, practically clear embossing powder, which was fine, but I do use those dark sunflowers, but I really liked the gold. I think it's rose gold embossing powder from Altenew. It will be linked down below. I kept all of the melty parts in this video. Also, I think I may have mentioned it at the beginning that I did have a 4th layout. I actually ended up not doing a 4th layout, and I'll explain why at the end of this. So this is kind of a longer video. It is both a process and my November How to Kill a Kit with Style kit wrap up. So if you feel like you want to hit pause and go make some hot cocoa, I completely understand. I wanted to add a little bit of detail to my sunflowers. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to come in with my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink and a blending brush, and I'm just going to blend out the inside of each of these sunflowers. Now they're going to look a little like, kind of like, you can see there, like you can't see the sunflower anymore, right? Don't worry. The nice part about heat embossing, and kind of the reason I did this, is because the stamp set is really intricate and it would be a lot to try to color it in a more traditional way, like with alcohol markers. But by heat embossing them and die cutting them and then just inking the centers, I get a lot of color and interest to these products without spending hours and hours of cutting them. Not cutting, coloring. Sorry about that. So I did the centers of the flowers. Now I'm going to die cut them using the coordinating dies. And then I'm going over the tops of the die cut sunflowers just with a little slightly damp paper towel, just enough to get the ink off of the embossing powder. You can kind of see there how we're kind of bringing it back to life by doing that. Next step for this layout is a title. I have a title I really want to use, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these Alpha Best stamps from Stampin' Up. I'm going to stamp my title, and then I'm going to use the coordinating punch to punch my letters out. What I'm doing here is, by using this particular pattern paper, I am able to get a title that is multicolored and has a lot of different patterns to it, and I can just use this one sheet of paper and kind of pick and choose which patterns from it I want to use for each of the words, so that I'm choosing patterns that I can stamp on top of and still have it be really visible. So a good bit of contrast, lighter patterns, tone on tone patterns. Those are the kinds I'm kind of picking and choosing for my title. One of the reasons I chose that sketch for my layout is because it had a cool kind of quilty vibe to it. And so now I'm going to go ahead and grab just a thin piece of, Kathy Zilski says it best. She calls it crap stock, and I agree with her. So it's thin white cardstock that, it wouldn't be good on its own as a background, but if I can layer more of this thin paper on top of it, then we've got a pretty stable layout. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all these patterns and ink them up, and then we can kind of get the base or the pattern part of our layout together. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of piece this layout together. I am leaving nice white borders around this entire design, each of the squares, and in some cases they end up being a little bit thick, which is totally fine because there's a lot of pattern going on, and so having those quiet white spots between the patterns is going to keep it from being too overwhelming. Although at the end of the day, this layout is pretty busy and full of pattern. There's a lot of pattern going on this page, but the embellishments I've created are pretty soft and subtle, and they aren't busy. So that helps too when you're creating one of these very kind of busy backgrounds, to have a quieter sort of layout or a quieter sort of embellishments that are maybe like this. They're not super colorful, they're very subtle. I am going to go ahead and map my photos using a bit more of that colored cardstock, that same colors that are on the sunflowers that I used for the backgrounds. I'm going to add some Spiegel Mom Scraps Big Mama foam tape to one of these photos just to give it a little bit of lift and dimension, and then we're going to go ahead and get to work on adhering my title down. So the title of my layout is going to be I'm Just Here for the Corn Maze, and I'm going to use that canvas flare from Scrap and Happy Studio for my corn maze title, so it becomes part of the title. So I have the "I'm just here for the" spelled out with those Stampin' Up! Alphabet stamps, and then the corn maze is going to finish up my title. So as you can see, now that I have my title in here, my photos are down, the busy backgrounds are down. Now it's time to just add a little bit of embellishing. So the sunflowers are pretty large. I end up kind of creating something that has a diagonal design that goes from the top left to the bottom right. And I pretty immediately know that that black sunflower is not going to make it. It's too dark, and it just wasn't as pretty as some of the other ones. Okay, so now that I have all of my sunflowers down and the canvas flares that I wanted to use, I'm going through the die cuts on this page. These the die cuts are so huge, but that's okay because my sunflowers are huge too. So I'm actually going to cut a lot of these leaf parts up. I'm going to cut them up, and there were a couple in there I really wanted to use, like those light blue ones, because that blue is in one of the patterns. It's also, there's a lot of blue in my photos, so I really wanted to make sure there was a little bit of blue in my layout as well. So I'm just going to grab these leaves and kind of tuck them in and around the sunflowers and add them to different spots, and I am cutting them up quite a bit. And there we are, all finished. I'll see you guys back in January for some new kits. Bye. Unfortunately, I had some things pop up that meant I never got to sit down and make my fourth layout. I'm okay with that. I thought about leaving this kit together and not breaking it apart, but I'm going to go see some scrappy friends this weekend, and they always love it when I can bring them some products I'm not going to use anymore. And so I thought, well, let me take this apart, because some of this are things that will definitely be going to a good home this weekend that I don't want in my room anymore. So all the stamps and all of the epoxy flare, those we're going to set aside. Those are going to go back into my stash. The wood veneer are definitely getting passed on. The rest of my leaves are definitely getting passed on. And the rest of this paper pad is going to get passed on, and these stickers. And then the paper pad. I don't mind. I am very, very fortunate in that I have a whole group of scrapbooking friends, and a lot of them are senior citizens that are on very limited income, very fixed income. And so I'm actually like extra generous when I get to scrapbook with them. I always like to be extra generous and bring a lot of stuff for them to pull from and take from and kind of share my bountiful products with. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just call this kit done, because then I can take these items and pass them on to someone who I know will use them and will love them. Do I like these products? Absolutely. Would I make more layouts with them if I kept it in my stash? Yes. But knowing that I have somewhere I can take things this weekend and have them go to very good homes makes me really happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and call my kit killed and pass these products on and move on to some more fun kits in January. Okay, everyone, you will find in the description box below. So I made 3 projects with this kit. One is the video you just watched. There's another 12 by 12 video and a traveler's notebook spread, and I will link both of those process videos over in the description box in case you're interested in checking those out as well. I will talk to you guys all very, very soon, and I'll see you in January. Bye.